up to her one day, and this is, I don't think this would ever fly. But I went up to her and I told her why I thought I should be on varsity. And I was like, I really want to play. What do I need to do? This is something I want, and I was like, I love it. I want to get better. I'm going to give you everything that I had. Because back then I remember we could go, we had 2 weeks for spring break. And basically, a lot of people would go away, but if you made varsity, you should be at practice. And I was like, look, I'm not going to be here because I've had a scheduled vacation, and which, like, to me, I'm like thinking about a vacation, like I haven't had a vacation in forever. And I was like, look, I won't be able to be here, but I want to be on varsity. I don't want this to hinder it. I work so hard. I have a lot of heart. Like that was kind of the thing, is I wasn't the best goalie. Like it was an older goalie that was better than me. But I was like, I'll give it everything that I have every single day. And she told me after practice, she came up to me and she's like, Rachel, come here. And I was like, yeah, coach. And she's like, you got nothing to worry about. She's like, you made it, kid. And I was like, wait, what? So looking at that, like, I don't know if that would ever fly nowadays. But that was really special to me. And, somebody that, and some people probably view that the wrong way, right? Like, oh God, she told the coach why she should be on varsity kind of thing, or, but I didn't mean it like in a pushy way. It was more of like, just so she knew who I was.
Well, I think there's a way that you can speak your mind, but you're speaking your heart more than your worries and your fears, and trying to create an outcome, by, through just demanding something, feeling that you're deserving without having put it into it. And I'm all for exceptions when they're worthy, because that really, there's a lot of really cool stuff that happens in the margins, in between things. And I'm not a big fan of zero tolerance. I mean, there are some occasions, there are some things that, hey, that's crossed the big line of safety, of respect, or something like that. But even then, there needs to be a why. What exactly happened here? What made that happen? And I think that, one, it is real important for the coaches to say this is what the next level looks like. And that is what I appreciate most of the club that my two middle daughters play, because one will be playing at Gettysburg in spring of 2020. And she's very excited about that, a chance to win a championship there. And I've got a rising freshman who wants to also play at the next level. And I don't know what level is right for her, but her club has done very well in telling them from day one, we're going to be honest with you, and telling them why to be honest, because they said, if you're going to put this much time into something that's this important, it's a disservice for us to tell you that you're any better equipped than you really are to get to that level, to tell you, oh, it's not so bad, don't worry, and then you have to figure it out on your own. So that's a horrible thing to do to someone, to send them, unprepared into the wilderness like that. And some people that don't know what they do behind the scenes and how they set that foundation with these girls, whether they show up in the fourth grade or as freshmen. But that's why they buy into it. And some girls rotate out, and they should, because if that's not what you're looking to do, you don't want to waste your time. My oldest daughter was probably the most intense athlete of all my kids, but she just said, no, I'm not interested in that. When I get to college, I'm going to be all academics. So she played on a much lower level club because she said, oh no, I don't want that type of pressure. Now, she literally threw herself all over the field. Didn't matter what the score was, what the opponent was, how much bigger they were than she was. But she just knew the setting. She's like, no, I get it. That's not it, so I'm going to go find my fit elsewhere. And I think that's really important, that the clubs need to know what role they serve. And they're all good roles, whether it is kids who just want to continue to play more throughout the year at the high school level, and maybe maybe they want to play in college, and then those that just have been dreaming. Like my daughter number 2, she said since she was 9 that she was going to be playing in college and U19 and World Cup, and that's always been her dream. So she's never, she's a very mild-mannered kid, has never thought that she has been mistreated, no matter what the volume was from the coaches, no matter how frank it was. She just said, nope, that's what I need to hear if I'm going to get where I'm going. And any kid who doesn't want to hear it, that's okay too. That's completely okay. They just need, that's why coaches need to really recognize what who their clientele are, who it is they're serving, so that they can really give them what they need at that time in their journey, and not try and give them something, to be honest, that maybe they're not ready for yet. We want to push, but you don't want to ever break a kid.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that the line too sometimes can be very thin, and sometimes good intentions don't come across that way to, I guess I'll say, the masses. Where some people don't perceive it as being a good thing or things of that nature. But I don't know. I think that the world is changing too, where I hate to say everybody gets a trophy and bring that line up, but I think it's also tough to be more of a stern coach, right? Not even being negative, but just being a little bit more stern in that kind of an environment, where it's like everybody gets a trophy. Well, why didn't I get a trophy? Where it's expected, but you have to work hard and chip away to earn that.
Well, and I think part of it too is that there are so many teams out there in need of coaches, and it's no longer a parent or a coach. You've got to have 2 or 3, because the level of play, and they're teaching, elementary and middle schools how to play at the high school level. They're teaching high schoolers how to play at the collegiate level. And that really does take a coaching staff. It's not somebody who's good with sports and kids and is organized anymore. And I think because of that, it's coach training is so critical, because it's really easy to have a bad day as a coach when if it's not your career. So when we're talking at the club level in the high school, which often are, people that have day jobs, and they're showing up, whether a teacher or something else. And I feel fortunate that from the day I started coaching, 1st through 5th graders, that youth club, they had us getting coaching training, like how to handle kids in difficult situations. They weren't teaching us technical things. It was how to conduct yourself so that you could be intense and you could be loud, but it would be without regrets and without backlash. And I think that's part of that's where I see right now the fear is that, and also everybody knows everything now. A little league coach somewhere in Kansas, you and I are going to hear about it, what he did wrong, berating his players somehow. And I think that people are worried. Am I going to be that person? Or people are worried, it sounds, she has that volume, that tone, like that thing I saw on TV or that story I heard about, and I'm afraid they're going to go over the line. They don't know how the coach operates. They have good intentions. And maybe that coach does need training, but it's a really complicated world. Like you say, how do you push someone further that makes them want to get up after they get knocked down? We're not here to knock them down, but as you push, you're pushing them to failure. That's what we need. You want to be pushed to failure, to say, all I did was fail. But I can do it again. And hats off to every coach, including yourself, that can do this at the higher levels, because it's just not easy. And the workplace is just full of people that, unfortunately, I think we're given the wrong idea of what it means to be a leader, to be stern in the workplace, which is really, unfortunately, abusive. And I think they're mimicking what they see on sports, but there, again, is a different rapport Those people are there on that field because they signed up for something intense and something that they had been trained for. The workplace is not like that. So it's tricky now for sure.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, Dave, looking at, that a lot of business leaders and higher ups look to sports to learn, how to coach and how to behave. And in actuality, now it's almost like, coaches need to lean on business people. I'm a big fan of, Seth Godin's work and all those kinds of things, and Malcolm Gladwell and Simon Sinek. And it's interesting to look at how, college coaches need a little bit more of that, and just coaches in general need more of those kinds of things. Where businesses learn from college, from coaches, now coaches need to learn from businesses a little bit. And I feel like when everybody knows what their purpose is and their why, and, why they get up out of bed in the morning, and know what they bring to the table, I think it's, a lot easier that, when you're focused on that mission, that you know what you're supposed to do. It's easier to continue. And it doesn't seem that you're being maybe knocked down per se, but as a coach, in turn, looking at, the way I coach my players, whether it's youth kids, to, the college coaches, the college kids I've coached in the past, to me, it's all about, what do you bring other than lacrosse to the table? And I think that that's something where, you're not just an athlete, you're not just a student, you're more than that, and really realizing, I had a really great bond with one of the girls that I've coached in the past, and she was very, very shy to start. And, she came up to me one day, and this, it's like so simple. She's like, "Rachel, can I follow you on your photography Instagram?" I'm like, "Of course, that's totally fine." And she's like, "Okay." And then she came into my office one day with baby goldfish and discussed with me about all the photography that she did in high school, and would show me her work. And all of a sudden she opened up and became, everybody's like, "Wait, this is not the same person from last week." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And, it's just being able to see, we're all people, but being able to see, I'll call them kids, even though some of them are only a couple years younger than me, but still, it's being able to see people that they're more than just, okay, great. Like, you scored 50 goals for me this season. Congratulations. Like, are you going to score 100 for me next year? There's more than that. It's, how you doing? How's your family doing? Like, how's your dog? And those kinds of things. And so I pride myself on getting to know everyone that I coach, to make sure, like, if they're having a down day, it's like, "Are you all right? What's going on?" And so that they feel comfortable talking to me. And I think that having those open kind of relationships is, where coaching is changing. And not that coaches haven't done this in the past. There's definitely been outliers. But when you have, players rally around you, it's extremely evident. And, a lot of the time it's that they do anything for their coach because their coach would do anything for them. Yeah, and that's what I like to emulate.
Well, and you caught me on those three authors, because those are three, I'm listening to Seth Godin's right now, Linchpin, which is an amazing book. And
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and Simon Sinek, I believe didn't he on finding your why, which is a big one there. And Malcolm Gladwell, he looks at, it's almost like Freakonomics. He looks at the edge of the coin. It's not one or the other side. And the three of them, when you describe them as being part of business, to be honest, I was about to disagree in my head very loudly with you that business is teaching sports something, but those three represent a new wave of business that is the artistry of business. It is the creativity and the connection, which is what we really need, because we are coming out of a good 50 to 70 years of streamlining to assembly lines behind desks. And that is what sport is doing. There is the artistry of how do you improvise yet still achieving the goal. yet using the pieces in front of you, the space,